Greetings once again, my friends, and welcome back to Drak Reviews, where I'm taking on one of my favorite series that I didn't think we were going to get another entry for a couple of years, but we actually did as we review Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. So for those who are not Uncharted fans, basically this is kind of a spin-off. Not an official Uncharted 5. This is a spin-off that happens just after Uncharted 4 and doesn't necessarily follow the main protagonist, Nathan Drake. Instead, it follows other characters that have been established in the Uncharted universe and gives us a little bit more backstory on them, as well as lets them go on their own unique quests. So let's go ahead and dive right into the story so I can explain that. The game main protagonist is Chloe Fraser. Now, Uncharted characters will know who Chloe is because she's had appearances in Uncharted 2 and 3 as more of a side character, kind of a love interest to Nathan Drake, but not really. It was kind of one of those femme fatale kind of situations. You play as Chloe Fraser, but she actually does get another partner from the more recent Uncharted 4, and that is Nadine Ross, who was actually kind of the villain, even though Chloe was kind of the villain in Uncharted 2 as well. So it's one of those things where, like, they're kind of villains, but kind of not. And you follow the journey of Nadine and Chloe as they look to find the treasure called the Tusk of Ganesh. So they are in India, and they are looking to find this amazing treasure, not only for fame and glory, but also for the big bucks. And you're able to go on this amazing journey through India, as well as be able to race against time, as well as against the infamous Indian General Assad. He's like part of a rebel faction, so not sure what he actually is in rank. We just know he's the leader. But you basically race Assad to the Tusk and make sure that you try to get it first. Overall, this is an Uncharted story. I didn't really take any points off of it, and in fact, I loved a lot of the character development that we got for both Chloe as well as for Nadine. Nadine was kind of an antagonist in Uncharted 4, so it was actually really cool to see her character arc through this game, where she goes from being an antagonist in Uncharted 4 to kind of her own leading lady. I actually wouldn't mind, after playing through Lost Legacy, a game featuring Nadine Ross is kind of the main character. And of course, yes, this is the infamous character that people got pissed off that when the original actress had to step down, Laura Bailey, one of my favorite actresses, yes, I'll point that out too, Laura Bailey stepped in as one of the understudies to play Nadine Ross, and everybody got pissed off because, oh my gosh, it's a white woman playing a black woman. It doesn't really matter because in a lot of cases, I love Laura Bailey's performance just as much as I probably would have loved the original actress. Because from what I can tell from any director's interviews that I've seen, they pretty much both nailed the character right on the money. So that being said, I do love the development that we get for both Chloe as well as Nadine Ross, and I think it's well worth it story-wise. Visually, this is based in the Uncharted 4 engine, and while I want to say that it is just as gorgeous, the people who were running this one, I don't know if they could completely handle the engine. As people could see in my Drak Tries video, I had a really nasty glitch at the very beginning of the game, and I wish I could say that I didn't have additional glitches on my way to the end to review this game. That is not the case. I did have more glitches, and that's really sad because it's Naughty Dog, and I have a higher expectation of them. So there was a little bit of points that I did take off for visuals because of these glitches and the fact that, spoiler alert, it actually did take me a while to get to all of this stuff and gather the footage. So there's been plenty of time for Naughty Dog and Sony to fix this, and they haven't, and that's really disappointing. Moving on into the gameplay. Again, this plays like an Uncharted game. If you've played Uncharted or if you've played the recent reboot of Tomb Raider, you're pretty much in the same direction as how it's supposed to play. And the engine's very spot on. I didn't have too many gameplay glitches as I did visuals. I was able to get where I needed to go, and if I had a mistake, it was simply my own fault. Like, I thought that I could go down to that platform when in reality I couldn't, or I misjudged a jump. A lot of that was on me. So I didn't take too many points off of it, a little bit here and there, but it pretty much is spot on from Uncharted 4, and the engine is still working really, really well. Moving on into audio, this is where I took off a little bit more because as much as I love the epic scores of Uncharted, Lost Legacy didn't really have that, and that was really disappointing. They did have some good musical tracks, but they were few and far between, so that was really disappointing. However, the voice acting I am going to give full credit for. I love the performances from Claudia Black as Chloe Fraser, Laura Bailey as Nadine Ross, and we even have some returning Uncharted characters, including Samuel Drake, who was played by Troy Baker. He does show up again, just to give us a little bit more character into him. And I also do love the performance from Usman Ali, I think is how you say it, for his portrayal of Asav. All were really, really well done. And this voice cast every voice cast in the Uncharted series has had amazing performances, and this is no different. But I did take off a little bit of points when it came to the music itself. Moving on into replay value and presentation. Now, technically, there is replay value to this, just as much as there is to any Uncharted game. Like, you can go back and collect all of the treasures and all of the unique artifacts that can be got throughout the game, as well as be able to get... in the other games, there's been multiplayer rewards. I don't think this actually had a multiplayer to it. The added bonus is that when you get to an open world segment, you can actually get access to a very ancient tomb, and the way to get into it is to find relics from the 13 young kings of India, and you get bonus basically an additional tomb to go through along with the rewards that come from it. So you do have the replay value there to go back into that open world area, find all of the 13 relics so that you can get into this extra area. So I didn't really take points off for that. Presentation, does it all come together? Yeah, it's still... Uncharted is still one of those game series that I don't think has had too much as far as flubs. Even its worst games are considered some of the best that came out in that given generation. So I can definitely say that here too. It does come together to tell a really amazing story, have amazing character development for the main characters, as well as be able to have some great sights, great sounds as you go to discover the treasures of India, as well as the Tusk of Ganesh itself. Which is why I have no problem giving Uncharted: The Lost Legacy an 8.5 out of 10. Like I said, there were a bunch of glitches that were still in this game that months later should have been taken out, and it was disappointing to see that happen. So for that, unlike Uncharted 4, which I gave a perfect 10, this one gets a little bit more of a B+. You need to go and fix those bugs there, Naughty Dog, Sony. Get on that, and after that, the score would probably go up if I were to play that again and not have similar issues. But is it worth it? Now, Uncharted 4 is only available for PlayStation 4, so PlayStation fans rejoice, you get this exclusive. And you can currently get this game for $39.99 new, and I have seen some used prices that go all the way down to $29.99. Is it worth the $39.99 asking price? This is one of those times where I would say if you're an Uncharted fan, yes, it is, because you're going to get another awesome Uncharted story. If you're brand spanking new to the series, you could definitely find some of the earlier games for much cheaper prices. I actually was able to find a copy of the Nathan Drake collection, which has the first three Uncharted games available for $14.99, and I actually even saw it online for $9.99. So you could easily get more out of that than you could for Lost Legacy. So if you're an Uncharted fan, yes. If you're not, I would definitely recommend going and getting some of the deals on previous Uncharted games just to get yourself up to speed. And that's going to go ahead and do it for this review. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for your love, patience, and support. And of course, I'll be back in time for the next review.